One of the most controversial plans of the incoming Trump administration is that of a so-called mass deportation effort. It's expected the president-elect, as well as his potential border czar, Tom Homan, will call on everyone from the U.S. military to diplomats overseas to turn his campaign promise of those mass deportations into a reality. That also includes cooperation with Republican-led states and use of federal funding as leverage against resistant jurisdictions. But how could this plan work with sanctuary cities, and could it involve the use of the NYPD? Joining us now is CBS News law enforcement contributor and former deputy commissioner with the NYPD, Richard Esposito. Richard, good to have you with us here this morning, as always.
Good morning.
Let's start with this. As it stands right now, how does deportation work here in the city currently, and what is the NYPD's current involvement in that?
So, Chris, for many weeks now, inside City Hall, there have been conversations in a working group on just how those things are going to play out. The current sanctuary law in New York City, as written, prohibits deportation. And Mayor Adams' team is working on discussing with the City Council how to modify that law. They want to stay a sanctuary city, but they want to allow the deportation of violent criminals, not people with minor offenses, but people who are armed, people who are violent. And there's some suggestion, according to the mayor and his staff, that they'd like these people to serve their prison time first, so we don't have a swinging door at the border where they come right back.
So Mayor Adams making some headlines yesterday, saying he's reached out to Tom Homan, who is the new border czar under President-elect Trump, to hear some of his ideas about the deportation of immigrants. The two plan to meet and hopefully map something out to get a little bit of a better roadmap as to how this is all going to unfold here in New York City. I just want to play real quickly for you a little bit of what the mayor had to say yesterday.
We cannot ignore the fact that the American people have communicated to us loudly and clearly. We have a broken system. They want it fixed. You got a guy, he's on camera shooting a police officer. I don't want that guy in my city.
Now, Richard, I don't think there's a right-minded person out there that would not look at something like that and say, yeah, if you've got somebody on video who is here illegally shooting at police officers, that is, qualification number one for deportation immediately. What's your reaction to what the mayor said?
I think the mayor's hitting it right on the head there. There's not many nuances in this at the podium off-the-cuff speech he made, but he's hitting the right point. Those are the people he wants gone, and that's the kind of cooperation he's actually offering. And I think that's an important point there. He's not looking at people for jaywalking or people in migrant shelters. He's looking to get rid of the violent.
Let me ask you the legal and ethical implications for a sanctuary city like New York City when it comes time to mass deportations, the NYPD's involvement, the mayor's, I would say, I don't want to say cozying up is the right word, but in the last weeks to the run-up of the election, you saw more of a thawing of the relationship between President-elect Trump and Mayor Adams. Your thoughts on how this all plays out?
Well, I think that's a great observation. When I was watching that yesterday, my first thought was, who is the mayor talking to and why is he talking this way? And I think a little bit of part of it is that he certainly might want and need some White House sympathy as he gets set for a federal trial of his own. So there's a little bit of chest bumping and a little bit of aiming for an audience, but it's going to play out in a much more nuanced way. It's just not going to be the way it sounds right now.
Well, and you talk about a nuanced way. Obviously, the mayor's not the only one making decisions here. The governor is going to step in, and we know the governor's feelings on this. So it really kind of almost puts the NYPD kind of right in the middle of this kind of, I don't want to say a battle because it hasn't reached that yet, but it potentially could. So your thoughts on where the NYPD, where they're going to actually be placed in this back and forth?
Well, the NYPD is going to follow the direction of the mayor, first of all. And part of that will be, nobody's going into a migrant shelter and deporting people without a warrant. You need a warrant. There is law, and the NYPD is here to enforce that law. When there are instances of violent crime and the mayor wants people deported, the NYPD will cooperate fully. They're going to bend and they're going to attempt to cooperate to the extent that they can under the law in New York.
It'll be very interesting to see when Tom Homan and Mayor Adams are able to get together and we're able to get more information as to how this will all unfold in the coming months. It's going to be very fascinating, to say the least. Richard, thank you again. Always great to see you. Now, Richard joins us every Wednesday. For more on the issue of immigration, head to our website, cbsnewyork.com.